Hello and welcome, everyone. It's good to have you here. I'm Will Marcotte. You probably already knew that since you were on the last webinar, right? If you weren't, that's okay. We recorded it. And we'll have more as time goes on. So I hope to see you on all of those. Let me just go ahead and clean up my screen a little bit. There we go. So today, we're talking about, is Facebook advertising dead? And we're not going to tell you the answer quite yet. Instead, we're going to have Ann Wynn talk about meta advertising. Hello, Ann.
Hi there, everyone.
It's good to have you here. Tell me a little bit about what you've got for us today, Ann.
Okay, let me share my screen here real quick then.
Of course, please.
Okay, so share. Can everyone see my slides?
I can see it.
Okay, yes. So today, as the topic states, we're discussing whether Facebook advertising is dead or not. And I won't spoil it, but I think you probably have a clue what we'll be talking about. And well, before we get started, I just want to give a few minutes for people to stroll in. And while you're strolling in, just everyone introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where are you from and what is your business, just so we can get an idea of who we have in the audience. I'd like to tailor the conversation to who is here, whether is it mostly e-commerce, or do we have some folks who are brick and mortar? Do we have some folks who are doing digital products and services? Because the ad strategy is a little bit different based on your business type. So I just want to get an idea of, who we have in the group today. So yeah, tell us where you are and what your business is all about.
Indeed. We're going to give people a few more moments, but can you go ahead and give us a bit of an overview on what we might be covering today, Ann?
Yes. And then I see Dan has raised his hand. So I don't know if Dan has a question.
Got it.
Okay.
It says chat is disabled. 1 second. We'll fix that for you.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Okay. So while we get that working, I'm going to close the chat so that doesn't distract me. But so today we'll be talking about what can Meta do. So Meta, some of you might know, is the parent company that owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. And so we'll talk about the capabilities of Meta. How has marketing changed in 2023? So post-COVID, consumer behavior has changed. And I'll talk about what we've seen and how marketing is different. And also now what's working in 2023. So what used to work 4 years ago pre-COVID doesn't work today. So what's working now? And industry trends. So there's some hot new things happening. And I'll cover, what's on the horizon and how that affects marketing. And we'll dive into our campaigns and the ones we're running for our clients and what are the best performing campaigns we've seen and the insights that we can share with you guys. And then what type of businesses do well with Facebook and Instagram advertising? Not all businesses will succeed on Meta. And so we want to talk about, does it make sense? Is this a type of strategy that could make sense for your business? So those are the topics that we'll be covering today.
Groovy. Excellent. We've got people from all over. It looks like Boston, Massachusetts, Miami, Madison County, Georgia. I'm familiar with that. Carpentersville, Illinois, and a lot of different businesses. So welcome, everybody. It's fantastic to have you here. Now, I think we've probably got a fair number of people coming in. So Ann, feel free to tell us more about you.
Okay, as I forget how to advance the slides. So a little bit about me. I have a non-traditional path to marketing. So I started out as a pharmacist. I graduated from Rutgers University with my doctorate in pharmacy. So what that means is I have a very systematic, logical brain that likes to analyze data. And that translates well into marketing and analytics. And so when I first started with Stellar Labs, I started in the capacity as a Facebook and Instagram account manager. And I've since now moved into the role of the director of marketing for Stellar Labs. Currently, I also work as a fractional chief marketing officer for 5 other companies. So what that means is I advise on their total marketing strategy. And sometimes I also get in the weeds with their marketing strategy. So what that includes things like, their email marketing strategy, their affiliate marketing, Google ads, organic social strategies, paid social strategies. And I've had, experience in all these things. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, and we have a family business that I helped grow. Whenever I was a pharmacist, I still dabbled on the side, building my own website. I launched a podcast that was ranked #1 in iTunes. I've done SEO and gotten my page ranked first on Google. And so I consider myself a full stack marketer, but my passion and my specialty is in Facebook and Instagram advertising.
Wow. That's an incredible background, Ann. We're lucky to have you. I have resisted the urge to call you Doc this entire time that we've been working together. That may change. Who knows? Again, I think—
Don't make it awkward. Just call me Ann, please.
Of course. You got it. I will say people have called me professor in the past. My degree is nothing as prestigious as that, though. So now, before we move on, I do want to talk about questions briefly. We have some guidelines for that. You've been talking in chat, which is fantastic. Thank you, everybody. We've still got a few more people coming in, a few more people saying hello from Southern California, Bogota, Richmond, Virginia. We have Amanda Bailey from Florida with a sweetener brand. Welcome, Amanda. I went to high school with an Amanda Bailey. If it's you, hello, it's good to see you again. If it's not, just a coincidence, I guess. But again, you've been putting these things in chat. That's phenomenal. However, if you have questions, please put those in the Q&A section. Some of y'all have already gotten some practice there since you couldn't use chat earlier. So I think that's fantastic. And by the way, as you put those questions in, we may not get to them immediately, but we will get to them. We've got some spots designated to take a few moments for those questions throughout, and then as well as some time at the end. But speaking of taking a brief stop, we also have polls, and we're going to go ahead and launch the first one in just a moment. That poll is—
okay, there we are.
You're good. What is your advertising experience?
Yep, and this question helps me tailor, the depth of the presentation. So how much detail should I get into? Should I keep it broad? So this just gives us an idea. Oh, wow.
Excellent. Yeah, the numbers are dancing around all over the place. That's great.
And I wanted to say hi, Camelia. I'm currently working from Mexico, Yucatan Peninsula, so a fellow Spanish-speaking country here. Although my Spanish needs some work.
Next webinar.
Next webinar. We'll do
Vamos a presentar en español. Próximo webinar.
Yes.
Which I would guess is the same word, probably. Getting some decent responses. 67% participation will give you 10 more seconds before we move on and close this poll out so we can get to, surprise, another poll coming up immediately after that. All right. I said 10 seconds, but you 2, 1. We have ended the poll there. Looks like 42% have done some DIY advertising, 40% currently advertising on Amazon or another platform. I apologize if you weren't able to get your submission in. Feel free to talk more about that in the chat if you'd like.
Yes, and if you want to put in the chat what platforms you are advertising on, that would be great, just to give us an idea of the experience in our group. And then here's the second poll.
Ooh, what do you do? What is your business? E-commerce, brick and mortar, coach, consultant, realtor, lawyer, other professional needing leads, or other? And again, feel free to use the chat there.
I kind of knew it. Most of us are e-commerce here on the call today. Some brick and mortar. Oh, that's nice. And then other.
Indeed.
Okay.
I was really hoping for a lawyer. I've been looking. Actually, no, I've just been watching Better Call Saul, and I've got lawyers on the brain. That's the only thing there. People coming into chat as well with some responses on what they're doing. E-com, brick and mortar, and international distribution from Brad Hunter. That's very interesting.
Very nice.
But you were correct, Anne. 85% of the responses so far, e-commerce, as you predicted. I'm going to give, no worries, you're good.
We'll get into a good flow eventually.
We're all right. We're all right. Just a few more seconds, and 3, 2, 1. All right, let's wrap that one up for the time being. We got one more poll coming later, but Anne, go ahead with what you've got.
Okay, perfect. So spoiler alert, Facebook advertising, meta advertising is not dead. We had a recent client come to us where they had used a previous other third-party agency and it didn't work out for them. They couldn't justify the investment. They gave us a chance, and now Meta is one of their best performing platforms for sales. I'll talk a little bit about them later on as well, but we created our own sale for them before Black Friday, and we knocked it out of the ballpark where we 3x'd their best summer, which was great. So, sometimes it's just the strategy is not working. When I go dig into people's accounts, I see that a lot of times people are just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. And one of the first things that I like to do is set up a funnel and a cohesive strategy. So, the prospects flow from one campaign and one part of the funnel into the next. And then that's why our campaigns perform well. So, the next thing is, okay, what can Meta do? Some of you probably already know this has been a change a couple months ago where Facebook Meta tried to streamline processes, and now there's like 3 or 6 different categories of ads: traffic, awareness, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. And so, there's different objectives. I would say like 90% of all advertisers on Facebook or Instagram will use the sales objective, the conversions objective. However, there's a reason why these other campaign objectives are available. And if you use them strategically, they can do very well for you. And so, what we have done in the past is for awareness and engagement. This is a great content marketing strategy. So for brands that want to get their name out there, get brand recognition, get people to start to know what they're about and who they are, these are a great way to get your name out there, and they're very inexpensive. These ads are very low cost per click, very low CPMs. This is a strategy that we'll use to start to capture big audiences, cold audiences, and move them through the funnel to warm them up and eventually move them into a paying customer. So also, engagement is a strategy that we'll do because of the iOS 14.5 update, so many people have opted out of tracking that when someone leaves the platform and they go to your website, there is a big black hole of data that is missing. So if we can keep them on the Facebook Meta platforms and we can see what they're doing in terms of watching videos, what they're doing in terms of engaging with the organic posts or the ads, or what they're filling out in terms of the lead forms, then that data is 100% accurate instead of statistical modeling that Facebook and Meta does. And so we do strategically use engagement ads to keep people on platform. And then traffic, we've done these ads to hype up during a period. Like we've had clients do contest periods where, like I said, we created a sale before Black Friday to capture the people buying before everyone else, because we know on Black Friday, there's going to be so many advertisers on the platform, ad costs will be higher. So we said, why don't we create a sale before that and tell people we're going to have a sale before that. And we use traffic to build up the anticipation and build up the hype. And we borrowed that strategy from Apple, because, think about it. When the next iPhone comes out, Apple is already advertising months in advance. So people are chomping at the bit and ready to buy the next iPhone before it even drops. So the day it drops, they have a line out the door for the purple iPhone, right? And so we borrowed that strategy. We said, okay, how do we create hype around a sale that we're having, a new product that we're launching? And so we do that through traffic ads.
It sounds pretty similar to Prime Day as well. Amazon sort of taking away some of the focus on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and putting it in the middle of summer.
Yes, exactly. And similarly, while Facebook and Meta has the option to do leads as a separate campaign objective, we've done traffic ads for lead generation, because of the lower cost per mil CPMs, lower cost per clicks. If our client has a separate landing page already created, we will drive traffic to that page for two purposes. One, we'll get email submitted, and two, we'll get more eyeballs to the website. So that's another retargeting audience that we can utilize. So we strategically use traffic ads for lead generation as well. And we have some clients, although we don't love to do this. We don't love to drive traffic from Facebook to Amazon, like a Amazon product page, but we've done it in the past. If a client, they have a website, but they prefer to fulfill the order through Amazon, we've done traffic ads that way. Amazon attribution is not so great, so it's hard to tell, what the ads are doing and how those ads are converting into sales. So we don't love to do this type of strategy, but if a client requests that of us, we will do that. So for leads, a lot of people on here are e-commerce, and you might think, oh, why do I need to generate leads? But if you have a product that is, a couple $100s or higher, in today's economy, the consumers are a little bit more choosy. Consumers need more marketing touches. And so I have been advising our brands to do more lead generation campaigns to get people on your email list and to nurture them through your email list. We have a client right now, their average product, an average order is $600. So to have them see, an Instagram ad or a Facebook ad once or twice for a $600 product, it's a little bit more difficult to convince the person to buy. But if we get them on the email list and we build value over time, we would talk about the product, the features of the product, the story of the brand, why the product was designed, talk about the founders, and all these other avenues of providing value. We're doing like Instagram lives and Facebook lives, and just, answering people's questions. So we're dropping value bombs. And so we're building this relationship over time. And so, for someone who has a higher priced product, lead generation ads are a strategy that we're incorporating for our clients. And you can do that on the platform with lead forms, or you can do it on a landing page on your website as well. It is a little bit more cost effective to do it on the Facebook, Instagram platform. Some people argue that if you do it on your website, the leads are a little bit higher quality because they have higher intent. We haven't fully tested that. We've done both, but we haven't fully tested, the quality of the leads. We just know that we get great cost per leads when we do them as a lead form on Facebook or Instagram. App promotion is self-explanatory. Most of our clients don't have their own app, but it is an avenue and it is an option available. So if you have an app, we can create ads that drive people to download the app and install the app, especially if you have like a freemium version where they first try it out for 14 days, 7 days, and then it's a paid option. So that's a great way to advertise for your app. And then again, sales is the vast majority of ads that we created. In the past, we could solely rely on just sales conversion ads, and we can just, put X amount, like $1 in, and we'll always get $2+ out. But with more competition and a more savvy consumer, we've had to utilize other types of advertising campaigns to balance out the strategy and to keep the campaigns profitable amidst the competition and the savvy consumers. So 2023, I've mentioned a little bit about what's changed. Consumers are more sophisticated. People know that, if there's a freebie, they're probably gonna have to give their name and email for that. They know that generally if they're on a webinar, there's probably something at the end, right? In the past, when I studied marketing, we knew that it took at least 8 marketing touches for someone who's completely cold and doesn't know anything about your brand to make a buying decision. We see now it can take up to 40 marketing touches. With the rise of TikTok and the goldfish attention spans of people, you can catch someone's attention and they're reading your ad, and then something else catches their attention and off they go, and you've lost them. So we need more marketing touches. Email sequences. We used to design the email sequences that were 7 days long, and now we need to design email sequences that are 21 days long, and to continue to provide value to people and to build that know, like, and trust factor before they make a buying decision.
So a full 3 weeks rather than 1 week.
Exactly. And more for higher priced products. Like I've in the industry, when people have we have coaches and consultants with higher priced $1,000, $2,000 products, that lead time can be longer.
Wow.
So like I said, if you have high ticket items, they can still be sold on Facebook. We just have to alter the strategy a little bit. And also, again, providing value. And we have a client now whose her average order value is $40. And we still do this content strategy for her that builds the know, like, trust factor. And I'll get into a little bit more detail later. But just because you don't have, a product price at $200 or higher does not mean that a content marketing strategy would not work for you. Because it's currently working for a client of ours that has a lower price product. And that goes into the next point is it's about authority building. Like, how do you distinguish yourself from your competitors as the go-to brand for your product or your service? How do you distinguish yourself with your brand story, with your customer service, with your values and what you believe in? So consumers today, they are very conscientious. They like to support brands that they believe in and support their own values, whether it's sustainability, whether it's, supporting certain social causes. If that's something that your brand believes in, making that prominent and making that a part of your marketing strategy will be to your benefit as well.
So what it boils down to is people aren't on Facebook and Instagram, generally speaking, to shop. They're on there to socialize, see posts, interact with people they know or brands they know and trust. And you have to build that up first. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes. It's a social platform. And so some of my clients, they come back to me because their ads get lots of comments. So for example, we have one barbecue client and they did a cooking video and they burnt the steak, according to some people who watched the video. And they commented about how this person doesn't know how to cook steak properly and also made negative comments about him as a person. And then he came back to me and said, "Ann, should I turn off the ads?" I said, "No, we're selling a lot of product because people are talking about it. It's boosting you in the algorithm and it feels bad, but they're not negatively commenting about your product. They're not negatively commenting about your service. They're just being people on social networks and they're just commenting on, now they're the professional chef and they're saying you cooked it wrong." And so just ignore those comments and just let your product rise in the algorithm. And so that's, that's another thing you have to consider when you're on a social platform. You'll have to monitor the comments of the people that make. But if your comments aren't about your product or service, I just say, any PR is better than no PR. And that's our philosophy. And you can always delete the comments if you don't agree with them.
I was going to say, to quote Oscar Wilde, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. And that's especially true for these platforms where engagement is the goal in general.
Exactly.
Let's take a brief moment. We're heading to the rest area, as you can see here. Let's take a brief moment to answer a couple of questions. We're going to go from Q&A to chat to Q&A. Somebody had an issue posting in Q&A a moment ago. Let's start with Dan's question. What is your threshold for high value products? What price point? Would it be that $500 mark you mentioned earlier, or would there be more variability?
There's definitely more variance. So the clients that we work with at Stellar Labs currently have like products up to $849. However, in the past, I've worked with clients that are coaches and consultants that have $2,000 products, that have $5,000 retreat programs, $10,000 coaching programs. So those programs can still be sold on Meta with a proper strategy behind it. Gotcha.
So the high value varies based on what you're willing to spend and get out of it, it sounds like.
Yes. I think his question is about like the price point of the products. And so like, I love Facebook because of its detailed targeting options. You can find someone in Kansas City between the ages of 18 and 35 who likes Star Wars and also likes barbecue, and target them specifically for your product. Like, that's how granular you can get with the targeting options on Facebook. And so if you know your avatar very well, it's one of those things where it's the platform that people volunteer so much information about themselves that it's an advertiser's dream.
Indeed. And if you were trying to describe me, you were this close. I'm no longer in the 18 to 35 demographic. I'm sorry to say. Actually, I'm not sorry to say. It happens. I'm going to jump over to Tianya Clark's question. You mentioned Amazon attribution is not so good. That generated a lot of conversation in Q&A. I wanted you to, in your own words, describe sort of what you were driving at with that as well.
Yeah, so that's more related to Amazon attribution for traffic coming from sources outside of Amazon. So Google or Facebook, if we're driving traffic from external sources to Amazon, they don't have a great way to track that data and to show how those ads are performing in terms of sales on their platform.
Got it. Good to know. Thank you. Again, it generated a lot of discussion in the chat. We may have time to dive into that a little deeper later towards the end. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and answer two more questions, but then we'll have to save more questions for a bit later. Graham Walker asks, what are your thoughts on using dynamic ads from product feed versus single image or video? Yeah.
It works very well for some brands and for some categories. So we do both. It's never an either or, but we do both, and we find some works better in some categories, some brands, and some don't. So we still find a single image and single video works very well. And surprisingly, you know, I've had ads that, in my opinion, looked terribly ugly but performed super well. And I've had videos that we repurposed that were old, like 6-7 years ago, and you could tell they're old and they still perform well. And then you think, oh, dynamic ads, they're shiny and they can, you know, using predictive algorithms show the image or the video based on what this user behavior has been in the past, what they're more likely to like and see. And sometimes it's phenomenal, and sometimes it falls flat. So that is a strategy that we use and we monitor. And so sometimes we keep it on and sometimes we turn it off, just based on the audience and the creative that we're using. Some of it falls flat. I do have to say, Facebook now has this option called optimized text per person. And we more often than not, we turn that off because we write ad copy for a specific purpose. There's a reason why we write certain things in the description. There's certain things we want in the headline. There's certain things we want in the detailed section. And so when we give the platform the ability to scramble where they put those texts, we find that doesn't give us the results that we're looking for. So using that type of dynamic text and doesn't work, but we've used dynamic carousel ads, dynamic catalog ads, and those have worked really well.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Ann. Two things. I believe there was a Did You Know video from Seller Labs a while back about that. I can't quite remember. And also, hello, Graham. Thank you for that. I meant to say that earlier. It's good to see you again, even if it's just your name in a GW, but it's good to see you again. Hi, Will. Thank you. All right. So we have a longish question from Brad. Again, once we answer this one, we're going to have to move on a little bit. We got a lot of ground to cover. And I'm going to read it like the Micro Machines guy, which does age me, as I mentioned earlier. As it relates to which campaign to pick, as an example, as I picked awareness plus engagement, would I have different creative options or bid options or targeting options? Are the mechanics of the different types of campaigns different? Why are awareness and engagement campaigns less expensive than others? Can you please elaborate? I would say pick one of those and we'll try and come back to the rest of them a little later. Okay,
well, I'll do my best. So the options are typically the same in terms of creative and bid and targeting. Sometimes, so for example, in engagement ads, you don't always have the call to action buttons. So those call to action buttons are more for traffic ads or like the sales ads. So those might vary a little bit, but the creative and bid options are pretty much similar. Are the mechanics of the different types of campaigns different? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by mechanics. But it's how they are delivered and which type of user they're delivered to are a little bit different. So a traffic ad is more likely to be shown to someone who's likely to click on the ad and go to a page, versus an engagement ad is more likely to be shown to someone who will click like or who will comment. So it's based on the behavior. And then awareness and engagement campaigns are typically less expensive because they're less competitive. Vast majority, 90% of advertisers will pick the sales objective. So because there's competition, the prices will be higher. And that's why by default, those types of campaigns tend to be less expensive. So I hope that answers the question.
Indeed. Thank you very much for the rapid fire response, Anne. Now that we've got those done for the time being, let's talk about the difference between advertising on a shopping platform versus social media.
Yes. So this is an important distinction because think of the consumer mindset when they go on these platforms. When you're going to Amazon, you are wanting to buy something. When you're going to Etsy, you want to buy something. When you're going to eBay, you're looking to buy something. So your intent to purchase is high. Versus if you're going to Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, you're wanting to look at cat videos, share videos of your vacation, and just relax. So Meta and social advertising is disruptive advertising. So when you decide to advertise on these platforms, you have to know that going in, that your cost per acquisition to acquire a customer on Meta will be different than on a platform where the person is going on with a shopper and buyer intent. So that said, when we work with clients for Meta, we let them know that there's more of a longer tail advertising strategy. So like if we post an ad on a Monday, we will let it run for about 3 days minimum before we check in to see how it's doing. 5 days and 7 days is really where we get the data to see, okay, is this ad working and what pivots can we make? Like people might get antsy and want to make a decision right away, but the initial first couple of days is not enough information to make a decision. So that's why I like to tell people is like, just have that going in, is that like, this is a different animal. The consumer that you're presenting your ad in front of has a different mindset when they're on that platform. So your advertising has to be, it has to stop the scroll. So if you're using, product images on a white background on Amazon, that works great for Amazon. It will not work for a social platform. Like it does not capture someone's attention. They will not stop scrolling. So creatives are very important on social platforms. And so that's one big distinction is disruptive advertising is going to be a different animal than advertising on platforms where they already have buyer intent. So what's working right now? Okay, like I mentioned before, the first things we do is we create a marketing funnel. What are we going to do top of funnel? What are we going to do middle funnel? What are we going to do bottom of funnel? So top of funnel is the cold audiences, the people who've never heard of your brand before. And so that includes interest targeting. And so we talked about, who's interested in barbecue in Kansas. And for barbecue products, like in the off season, we'll target people living in the southern states because it's warm all year round in the southern states, and we can sell product to those people all year round. Versus we wouldn't target people in the northern states in the wintertime for barbecue, right? And then broad targeting, this works really well for us. So this is a strategy that we use to decrease ad costs while still getting the eyeballs we want. And how we do that is we change the ad copy. So the first line of the ad copy calls out the audience that we're targeting. So we'll say, hey, Amazon seller, or, hey, barbecue enthusiast. Or we'll say, looking for a gift for the fisherman in your life. So this calls out the audience we're targeting right away. So even though we're saying we want to show our ad to anyone in the United States over the age of 18, if they're scrolling and they see the first line says, it talks about fishing and they're interested in fishing, they will stop. So that's a way that we utilize broad targeting to lower our ad costs and still reach the customer that we're looking for. So those are cold audiences. So middle funnel is warm audiences. So these are people who started to know that your brand exists. They started to engage with your brand. And they're moving down that funnel on the journey to becoming a customer. So we use lookalike audiences. And so lookalike audiences of people who've engaged with your brand, people who are already a fan or a follower of your page, people who have viewed videos on your pages, people who have visited your website, or people who have viewed the content on your social pages. So those are middle funnel audiences. Also, people who are on your email list, or or people who've been to your website. We will create lookalike audiences of those, and those are warm audiences that we can target. And then finally, bottom of funnel. So people who've already purchased, so we can show ads to them and to get them to purchase again. People who we're going to retarget. Maybe they've added to cart, maybe they've initiated checkout, but they haven't completed that sale. So they're very hot. They're like so close to becoming a purchaser, and they just need that push. And typically, we utilize a different strategy here, but this is where we'll do testimonial ads, or we'll do discount codes, and it gives them that push that they need to get off the fence and make a buying decision.
So, Anne, you mentioned a moment ago that these interests we're targeting, the kinds of engagement and fans, followers, and so on. Some of that is user input, but others are tracking, such as cookies and everything like that. But we don't always have access to everything we want, right?
Yes, yes and no. So that's why we do a lot more of on-platform targeting and on-platform funnels. However, the Facebook pixel still works, right? It still captures Android data. There are people out there that use Android, right?
Wow. That's the most important thing I think I've learned in this webinar today. So
we can still get accurate data for Android users, and there's the conversion API that we can install. So not only do we get pixel data from your browser, but when we install the conversion API, that is installed on your server. So then your server will send back data to Facebook to tell us user behavior on the website. And so with the conversion API and the pixel and the data that we're getting on Facebook, that kind of gives us a broader picture of what people are doing when they go to your website. And we can still make educated decisions on that data.
You can sort of see the shape of the hole left behind by iPhone users.
Yes, exactly. And now there's software programs like Hyros, Segmetrics, and they will give first-party data to give more accurate tracking of what users are doing on your website. So for brands that are generating a lot of traffic on their website, and they don't want to deal with the statistical modeling that Facebook does and make guesses or educated decisions based on the data, then you can use these platforms or programs like Hyros and Segmetrics to fill in those data gaps as well. So okay, so here I mentioned this. Since 14.5, you've probably noticed this pop-up that goes allow X app to track your activity across other websites. And what percentage of the time do you think people say ask app not to track?
Most of the time.
96%. So 96% of iOS users are opting out of tracking, which means 96% of people we are losing data on when they're on these platforms. So that's why we've had to alter our strategy to do more in-app things so that we can have better data. Which is great for users, not great for advertisers. Yes, and I am an advertiser and I still ask people not to track my data. But this is why we get better at our strategy. So we talked about on Meta targeting options. So these are custom audiences that you can build. And so you can see at the top, it says your sources and the bottom says meta sources. So in the past, we've relied a lot on your sources, website data. So that would be the pixel. What is the pixel sending us back information on? And then customer list, from Shopify, can we get a list of your customers and can we do a lookalike audience of your customers and target them? And that worked really well in the past, and it still continues to do well in some instances. However, we've leaned more towards the meta sources. So videos, lead forms, Instagram account, and Facebook page. So user activity on Meta, and we create custom audiences based on these meta sources so that we can have better targeting and better tracking of that data. So lookalike audiences. So this allows you to, okay, here is Anne, and she likes warm weather, and she likes yoga, and she likes cats, right? And so I want to advertise to someone like Anne, who likes warm weather and likes cats and likes, and so this 1% audience will be someone who's very much like Anne. But 10% is someone who's less similar to Anne, but still similar to Anne. I hope that makes sense. So Facebook allows you to have a 1 to 10% lookalike audience. So we usually start at 1% because that's most similar to our source audience. And then as we tap out those audiences, we'll increase the audience size. So typically 1% gets you about 2.7 million in your target audience, which is a pretty substantial size. Because think about like 1% of the US population is, I think that the math is right. Anyway, so when we do a 1% audience, it gives us an audience size of about 2.7 million. So a 10% audience is a much larger audience. However, it's a less similar audience. But we like to use lookalike audiences, like I said, for video viewers, fans and followers, and those who've engaged with your page, because those are on Meta sources. And in the past, we did a lot of website visitors, customer lists, and email lists, and we still do that. And we find in some accounts, it works really well. In some accounts, it doesn't. Like we have one client that we've had a lookalike list of their customer, lookalike audience of their customer list since October, and the ads have not been delivering for some reason. I don't know why. So we've just turned off those ads. But then in another account, we use lookalike audiences of their customer list, and that is doing quite well. So so it's kind of luck of the draw. I'm not really sure, but that's why we're leaning more heavily on Meta sources. Okay, so this is kind of, things are always changing. People are talking about a recession. People talk about algorithm changes. How do you recession proof and algorithm proof your ads? And these two images will tell you this is the answer. Okay, know your avatar. Know who it is that is your ideal customer, like what they like, where do they hang out, what they eat, what music they listen to, what TV shows they watch, all of that. If you can, and give that person a name. So when you're advertising and you speak to, Billy Bob, sorry, that's terrible. Joanna from Kansas City, like when you're writing your ads, and you write your ads just to Joanna, because if you sell to everyone, you're not going to sell to anyone. So when you write your ads, think of Joanna and her problems. And that's the next point, is what are her pain points? What keeps her up at night? And how does your product or service solve her problem? So when you can answer that question and speak to Joanna specifically, that is the key to any algorithm change, any platform change. This is the foundation of marketing that will work, that has worked, in the times of, like the great advertisers back then, and it still works to this day. So know your avatar and know their pain points. Speak in their language so they can build that know, like, and trust factors. Like, I know what it feels like to have celiac disease, and I know what it feels like to have to plan your meals out every day. And here's the solution for someone who has celiac disease. If you can speak to them in that way, they're like, this person gets it. This brand gets my problems, and I want to learn more about their solutions. So if there's one thing you learned today, like, I really hope that you learned, like, you nail your avatar and you understand very intimately what their pain problems and pain points are, and how your brand, your product, your service solves their problems. And that will make you successful regardless of anything that changes in the environment and in the platforms.
I have to say, I'm a little disappointed that it's not Aang or Korra as the avatar, or Kyoshi for that matter. It is one of the James Cameron avatars. I can forgive that.
Okay. Well, see, if you ever tested me on pulp culture, I will fail miserably. So, yes.
No worries.
Okay, so here's another poll. Look at these ads and put in A if you think that this ad A performed better, and then put in B if you think ad B performed better.
A or B?
So notice that the ad copy is the exact same. It's the thing that's different is the image.
Indeed. Interesting. Give you another 30 seconds. But while you're voting, everybody, I will let you know we do have about 15 minutes left. And I don't make a habit of punching my microphone, but it happens. About 15 minutes left. We're going to try and get to everyone's questions that has one. Again, we're probably only going to answer a couple in the next rest area, which is just around the corner. But then we're going to rocket through the last bit of our presentation. Okay, so we're about at 1 minute and 53% say B, 47% say A. So Anne, lay it on us. What was it?
Ding, ding, ding. Yes. So B is correct. And correct by almost two, okay, 0.7, 2.7, 2.7x ROAS. So you can see that the return on ad spend on ad B was much higher than ad A. And so the point is that creatives are very important. And so testing the creatives with your audience is very important. And that's another thing that we like to talk about with our clients is, we need you to have the ability to generate content and creatives because social media is about content, right? And so having someone on your team or if you're really good at content or someone you can delegate to is very important because refreshes are needed for social media advertising.
Excellent.
So we are at a rest stop.
Indeed, we are. Thank you. And let's take a look at some of these questions. First, how do you feel about Instagram versus Facebook?
Yes, great question. So, we do ad placements for both platforms. We find still the vast majority of ads being served to the Facebook audience. And we still find that the Facebook audience tends to buy more than the Instagram audience. We do have some clients who have a bigger presence on Instagram, and we've tested Instagram only ads, and we still see that they don't perform as well as Facebook ads. People say, oh, Facebook is dead. Everyone's moving to Instagram. Everyone's moving to TikTok. It's not true. And we love it when people say that, because when people say, Facebook is dead and more people advertise on other platforms, that just means our ad costs on Facebook go down. And so we just stick around and we just enjoy the decrease in CPMs. So that's what we're seeing in our clients. That being said, I think it depends on the industry and it depends on your audience. If you have a huge presence on Instagram but you don't have a very big presence on Facebook, I think you can make it work. It's just what we've seen in our clients is that we still see Facebook's outperform Instagram.
Excellent. Thank you, Anne. We'll do one more question now and we'll hold the rest until a little later. Can you expand on the conversion API? Is this something we integrate like the Pixel?
Yes, it is a code that you put on your website that sends data directly from your server about user activity on your website. So it's now it's fairly easy to do. I'm trying to remember now, like my brain is not there yet, but like if you go into, I think it's audiences or it's aggregated event measurement. I can see it on the page, but it's in the business manager, and you can set up the conversion API that way. And now that it's been around for a while with the iOS 14.5 update. In the beginning, it was a little bit more challenging to install the CAPI, the conversion API. But now Facebook has integrated with multiple, like Shopify and WordPress. So depending on what platform you're on, it's much easier to set this up.
Excellent. Thank you. I realize we still have a couple of open questions, but again, we want to get through a few more pieces of subject matter. So Anne, can you tell us how the landscape looks for the rest of the year?
Yes. So 2023 industry trends. Okay. So we're seeing influencer marketing become more and more of a thing. And so people ask us like, okay, should we invest in influencer marketing? And in the past, I was like, no, I don't really think it's a benefit. But I think going forward, it's something that I'm advising some of our clients to do, especially the clients who just don't have the bandwidth to create their own content. So, traditional influencer marketing is you reach out to an influencer and you have them shout out your product or your service, and it's a paid promotion. And actually, we don't advise that because it's just a one-time shout out and then like it's lost in the ether. So what we're advising is actually partnering with the influencer to create content and creatives for you that you can use in your advertising and in your organic strategy. So now, like, especially if they're, you know, a mid to high level influencer, their face is recognizable. They have an audience. So now especially if their image and likeness is in those creatives, you have authority by association, right? Credibility by association. So now they're creating videos that you can use in your marketing, and you can use again and again and again. So that's what we're advising in terms of influencer marketing, is to partner with influencers to create your content and create your ads, ad creatives, so that that you can reap the benefits longer term than just one time. And then next is, if I can press the button. Oh, geez. Okay. Reels as creatives and ad placement. So with the rise of TikTok, we are definitely seeing that Reels are becoming more popular as a type of creative. And so we are also advising our clients to generate content that are for Reels, and and doing ad placement specifically for Reels. So those vertical type of videos, short form videos, like 30 seconds, with lots of, you know, like color changes, graphics, and emojis, and all those things that do well, you know, in Reels and in TikTok style videos. We're seeing that as something that more people are gravitating towards. So we still see long form videos work. We have clients that do, you know, 6-minute cooking videos and 3-minute advertising videos, and those still work, but we are advising them to balance out those creatives by adding short form video content as well. AI, this is like the talk of the town, right? So AI is here to stay, and people are using AI in many different ways. How our clients are using AI right now is, we have one client who's using AI to write her blogs, and then she uses an agency to SEO the blogs to get her website and her brand found, because she has other competitors in her space that are actually copying her product. So she's using this to get found in Google, and we are repurposing that content as a paid content marketing strategy to build her brand authority. And so we're using AI, or well, she's using AI in that way. We are using it as a tool to help us with ad copy. However, it only gets you 80% of the way, and then we know, like, we have a checklist of what every ad should have, and we make sure that we fine tune what we get from AI in order to maximize the results, because they are a helpful tool, but they aren't the full answer. So AI is here, and it's very helpful, but you should not just rely on AI to do everything. What AI lacks, what we notice, is, you know, the emotion aspect of things. So when you write ad copy, we talked about pain points, and hitting on the emotions of the pain points. That's what is what gets people to take action. That's what people resonate with, and they're like, this brand gets me, and that's how they become an avid fan, avid follower. And so AI can help you. You know, if you have a blank slate and you want to have something to modify, so you're not working with a blank slate, but ultimately we still think that it is a tool, but not the only thing you should use. So a little bit more detail about the paid content strategy. So I talked about how, so first, the cold audiences, they don't even know about the problem sometimes. So we have a client who sells silicone rings, and like, I didn't know actually why people need to wear silicone rings. So we have content out there that teach people and educate people why these exist and why they're necessary. So she's got blogs about 7 unexpected professions that benefit from wearing silicone rings, and 7 unexpected anniversary gifts for your husband. And of course, one of those gifts is the silicone ring. And so these are subtle ways to educate about the problem and why, oh, did you know that as a mom, your fingers can swell, and because your fingers can swell, like, your ring doesn't fit. Or if you're wearing your wedding ring, you can scratch your baby's face. I didn't know that. So these are things that we educate the people on, and why they might even need this product. And it's very subtle. So that brings your cold audience into your funnel. So now they've read your blog, and now we tell them about your product. So, okay, here's 21 ring engraving ideas for couples. Here's the perfect ring color for your birth month. Or here's a silicone recommendation based on your Myers-Briggs personality type. So these are fun articles that people can read they can share on social media, and they're still not really intended to get people to buy. But a positive side effect of these ads and this content is that people do buy. So yeah, these ads that we're running as engagement ads or awareness or traffic ads, we are getting sales from these ads. And then finally is brand awareness. Oh, I think it got cut off. So yeah, brand aware is now they know your product exists, and now the product exists, and they know there's 3 different main competitors in the space. Now that we want to know that our brand is the go-to brand. So this is where we give testimonials, and this is where we do coupon codes, and this is where we can, if they haven't bought in the middle funnel, then we can convert them in the bottom of funnel. So that's the content marketing strategy that we utilize. And this can be done, creatively across other industries as well. So we've got a few more minutes, and I've got more content. So are there any burning questions before we proceed?
I'll go ahead and say there are a couple of questions. There's actually one I want to get to now, and it's not the longest waiting one, but somebody said, will this slide deck be shared after the webinar? The slide deck itself will not, but a recording of this webinar should be sent to you. And we will go through the whole slide deck throughout. So you will have access to this. Again, we've got a lot of questions. We will get to those in just a few moments. I'd say, Anne, let's just go ahead and rock on through the rest of your slides.
Perfect. So, okay, digging into our best performing campaigns. So I alluded to this. We have one client that we made our own sale, and we 3x'd the best summer sales with the 11/11 sale. So we 2 weeks before 11/11, so the end of October, we started doing traffic ads and creating hype around this sale. We said, biggest sale of the year is coming, biggest sale of the year is coming, 11/11 sale, mark your calendars, 11/11 sale. So we just kind of pegged that in their brain. So when 11/11 hit, people were like, what is this sale? And they were on the website, they were waiting for it, and we killed it. So best day ever for that client. And so make your own sale, make it different. And so this is how we got ahead of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But if you have a Founders Day, or if you have, just a lull in your season, and you want to create a sale and drive traffic and drive more revenue, just make your own sale, hype it up, do at least 2 weeks to hype it up, and then launch the sale. That's a great strategy that's worked well, and we're gonna continue to do that for our clients. Another client, we talked about how Q1 is typically really slow. After the holiday season, January, February, people aren't really buying things, but we use this content marketing strategy to build brand awareness. And so Q1 became their biggest ever quarter of the entire time they've been in business. So this past Q1 for one of our brands, using this content marketing strategy, we had their best Q1 ever in a slow season. And then we have a client where the average order value is $600. And we saw that the ads weren't really generating sales. So we changed the strategy to do lead generation. So we said, let's get emails. So we got emails at $2.84 per email. And these were people who raised their hands and said, I want to know more about your product. So these are people who already have higher intent. And so we nurtured them through email to sell this higher priced product. So think about that. Instead of investing money into ads where maybe they see one time or twice, depending on when they're on the platform, now we're capturing them on an email list that we can contact repeatedly, and I always advise email lists because it's an asset that you own. And I love Facebook, I love Instagram, I love these platforms, but it's not real estate that you own. So the email list is real estate that you own. And so yeah, for $2.84 cost per lead, and we nurtured that to sell products with an average order value of $600. So you can see that's a much better return on ad spend. Okay, so best businesses for Instagram and Facebook advertising. We really advise just an established business. You've been around for a few years, you've advertised before, you have your own website. Ideally, your average order value is $30 or more. If you have bundles that you can create, because we know it's disruptive advertising, people don't go in to social to buy things necessarily. They can, but they don't always. So if you have a higher price average order value, that can offset the cost of ads, and have the ability to have refresh in content and creatives. Those are the brands, when we work with them and they fit that criteria, those are the ones that do the best with us. So just one of my favorite clients, he's been with us for almost 1.5 years. They wanted to sign for 2 years. We don't offer 2-year options, but they love us. We've seen their brand grow, and he actually he's studying and he's getting his MBA, but we still provide value for them. And so, I'm excited. I hope that this presentation has been helpful. We do have a complimentary marketing audit. So if you want me to look at your marketing strategy, I know Facebook and Instagram, but I know all those other platforms, or Instagram or email and all of that. So if you want me to dive deep into your marketing strategy and give you advice on what I would recommend you do going forward, you can go to this link and go to my Calendly, and we'll sit down and we'll take a look at everything, and I'll do a comprehensive report, and that's yours to keep, to take action on. And so it's okay, this is what I would do for top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, and it's all outlined for you. So that's your, you have something to take away with, and just go through your checklist of okay, this is what I can implement. Or if you want us to implement it for you, we can do that as well. But tinyurl.com/SLS meta, and that will take you to my Calendly. And so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I hope that was helpful. If you have to go, I hope that was great. And then I'll stick around for questions.
Excellent. Thank you again. And again, that's tinyurl.com/SLS meta. It is in the chat, so feel free to click on that there if you'd like. Again, you'll see this recording, so you can freeze it and type it in later if you want to. Simple, easy to remember. Again, that is time. We're going to do some questions for the next few minutes. We're not going to go too far over time, but this is a really helpful workshop. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Kim, as well. Let's knock out some of these questions. From John, do you look at ROAS for ads based on ad spend into all revenue? In other words, Shopify site and Amazon revenue, since most Amazon sales for us are bounce traffic from our site.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So is the return on ad spend only on Facebook, or is it all the revenue you're generating?
Okay. So for return on ad spend, we are reporting from Facebook and Instagram ads specifically. So it would just be for that platform.
Got it. Next question, Meta automatically distributes my ads to both FB and IG. Do you set up separate campaigns to allow platform-specific tracking, or do you let Meta decide where to place the ads?
Great question, Brad. We do both. So typically we do auto placements. So we let Meta determine where to place it. Although we have some restrictions, we don't typically do audience network because that generally doesn't yield anything. And then that way we can see, which audiences are more responsive to the ads. But if we have a client who specifically says, I want to advertise on Instagram, I want to advertise only on Reels, we can do that as well. So you can run them so conjunctly, just auto placements. So that's where we usually start, is auto placements, and then we can dive deeper. Once we find data from that, we can say, oh, the Facebook only audience is doing great, or the Instagram only audience is doing great. Let's test ads for just those placements.
Excellent. Next question for Mauricio. Is it better to use a general Facebook pixel, or is it better to create a targeted specific ad pixel?
So the pixel is generally just one pixel that you put on your website. However, you can set up different tracking events. So you can track, did someone view this page? Did someone click this button? Did someone initiate checkout? So the pixel is one general pixel, and then the conversion event that you set up can be multiple, although they have a limit of 8. You can now, with the iOS update, you can only prioritize 8 events.
Got it. 2 more questions, one listed here, one from me. Nope, make that 3. 2 listed here, one from me. What are the pros and cons between boosted Facebook post versus Facebook ads?
Yeah, good question. I am still more of a fan of, if you're going to boost a post, like if you want to promote an organic post, to do it as a like an ad, and you can click and get the post ID and make it an ad, because the data is a little bit better, and you can repurpose that, not just as a boosted post, but in the future as an actual sales ad or other ads as well. So that would be my recommendation, is instead of doing a boosted post, to take that post ID and make it an actual ad instead of a boosted post.
Fantastic. What's the ballpark, Sharon asked, what's the ballpark number on impressions for you to decide an ad creative is not working?
Yeah. So impressions is not really what I use to look at if an ad creative is not working. My key KPI that I look at is click-through rate. So if the click-through rate on an ad is less than 1%, I kill the ad. Ideally over 3%, anything over 3% is amazing. So click-through rate and sales and adds to cart, those are kind of the indicators I look at. So I like to look at click-through rates more than impressions or reach.
Perfect. Brad, I'm going to come back to your question in just a moment. Christian, this will be our last question. And Sharon, you're quite welcome. Thank you. We always drive our FB traffic directly on our Amazon product. We don't have a pixel, 90% sales over Amazon, 10% online shop. How important is the pixel?
If you want to get more sales on your website, I think the pixel is important to set up, and it's really easy. It's not that hard. It sounds complicated, but it's not. But if you're happy with 90% of your sales coming from Amazon and want to continue getting sales on Amazon, then it's not as much of a priority. But if you want more sales on your website, then I would recommend the pixel setup.
Got it. Perfect. I lied before. Amazon attribution says 300 people came in with $0 in sales. Are you saying that $0 is incorrect?
Yeah, I would be suspicious of that 0, but again, because the tracking and attribution isn't accurate, like we don't know for sure. That's why when we do ads for people who advertise on Amazon, we highly advise them having their own website and driving traffic to the website.
Amazon does not share data often. Even though they say they're going to, that's a whole other conversation. 2 more questions. One from Brad. Will Seller Labs be sponsoring the attendees' travel to Yucatan for the retreat? I can answer that one for you, Anne. I'm sorry, Brad, that's going to have to wait until at least 2024. Maybe longer. I'm so sorry to say. And then final question, Anne, is Facebook advertising dead?
No, absolutely not. It's alive and well.
Perfect. That's what I thought you might say. Cool. Thank you so much, everybody. We got a lot of thank yous in the chat. You're quite welcome to all of you. And thank you for attending. Don't forget tinyurl.com/SLSmeta to find that free complimentary marketing audit from our very own Anne. And thank you, Anne, for the presentation. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Hope it was helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks again, everybody. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Bye.